Well, I think the situation today looks much more manageable compared to, say, earlier this year, where there was fear of massive capital outflow. But I think the situation we're in today is manageable. So far, we have seen the renminbi, the Chinese currency, weakening against the US dollar, but the market has been quite calm. And I think, the authority seems to be on top of the situation.
So what you're saying is, even though money does continue to flow out of China, it's not at a pace or rate which is as worrying as earlier this year, one. And two, even though you've got the daily RMB fix near 5-year lows, it's less of a China outbound money or capital issue as it is, say, pressure from a stronger dollar pricing in a second rate hike from the Fed.
Yeah, that's right. I think in all fairness, I think the fixing so far has been quite orderly in the sense that it's been following the rule in terms of the rules laid out by the authorities in terms of where the currency fixed yesterday versus where the dollar is headed overnight, and it's been much more predictable. So in that sense, I think the situation was quite different from earlier this year, where there was real fear of devaluation because the fixing wasn't that clear-cut, was quite messy.
So coming up next Monday, Tuesday, we've got the latest round of the strategic and economic dialogue, Beijing and Washington sitting down. You don't think the currency is going to come up as an issue this time around?
I think less of an issue, given that we have seen quite orderly market reaction so far. I think so far the intention of the Chinese authorities is to avoid losing competitiveness, and that means keeping the currency stable against the basket, or at least not strengthening against the basket itself. And the dollar strength that we're seeing so far has also been quite moderate. So as long as this situation holds, plus the fact that on the economic side, we've seen this morning's PMI showing stability still, I think things are pretty much manageable.
Interesting. So the PMI numbers, you're talking about the Chinese PMI numbers, correct? Yeah. So you've got that on the one hand. You've got a very strong, much stronger than expected Q1 GDP out from Australia. What does that mean for the RBA next week? Are they likely to cut further from 1.17?
Well, I think the RBA is pretty much on the sideline for the time being, having done a surprise rate cut earlier. There's been fear or concerns about further rate cuts, but I think that's probably overdone, given that we have seen growth numbers holding up much better than expected. The rebalancing of the domestic away from the mining towards non-mining sector seems to be going on quite well. So pretty much, I think the sell-off of the Aussie dollar post the surprise rate cut seems overdone, and I think there's a room for the Aussie dollar to stabilize. Having said that, I think the Aussie dollar strength will be capped at 74.75.